Just up ahead, you see a troll leave her hive, muttering to herself. She's holding an unstable mountain of papers and books with one arm, using her free arm to hold a mug steady. She isn't paying attention to you, which is fine. Don't get it twisted. You'd love to make another friend. You just understand now that it's a weird, flighty thing. Some trolls you mesh with, some you don't. You smile at her just in case, but when she walks right by you without stopping, you shrug. This planet is chock full of friendable weirdos. You'll live. You only take a few more steps before the sound of her absolutely eating shit on the sidewalk makes you turn. It happens fast enough, so you only really see the aftermath of upended books and papers raining down an impressively wide circle around her. Globes. Damn-ass rock. She sits up, but that's as far as she bothers to get. After taking a sip from her mug, which somehow must have stayed level in her grip during her fall, she sighs and gets to work gathering it all back up with her free hand. This checks out. That's the thing that would happen to me. It's not like I have anything else to be doing. You've seen a teen movie or two in your day. You know this trope. The cool kid helps the unpopular nerd after they fall like a chump and embarrass themselves, then slowly the pair establishes trust. By the time credits roll, they've gone and fallen in love. Not that you necessarily want to fall in love, or that you're under the delusion that you are in any way cooler than her. But still, it's tried and true, and also like a pretty standard decent person thing to do. So, like the decent person you hope to be, you skedaddle on over him. You stop short just in front of her wide-flung ring of items. You want to make sure she's not going to yell at you or murder you or anything before you interfere. What? Just kidding, I know I busted ass. I know it's a scene. Well, what are you waiting for? Be a good bystander and stop standing by. She gestures kind of all around her, and that's confirmation enough. You bend to pick up a heavy-looking book, and there it is, right emblazoned right on the cover. A gavel. A humongal fucker of a judgment implement tube with spines all around the handle. Dread creeps up your spine. You slowly slide your gaze from the book's cover to its owner. She doesn't have any ostentatiously blood-color-themed clothes on, though, wow, she is sporting socks and sandals. Maybe you are cooler than her after all. But the very prominent eye bags are tinged teal. Ah, Globes, a lawyer. It's not that you don't appreciate your one lawyer friend for who he is, it's just, you aren't sure you have it in you to sneak your way into the heart of another. You got kinda lucky last time. The scales of judgment in your heart start to weigh in your chances. You start making neat piles of all her stuff. After watching you for a second, like she's making sure you're not screwing it up, she dramatically heaves herself to her feet and joins in the effort. I don't have time for this shit! Make sure to keep the B-34s together in my red folder. You look down at your current pile. B. That's the one with the little hook on top, right? Or is that G? Sweat pricks at your temples. You've picked up a little bit of written Elternian here and there, but you're still not anywhere near competent at it. Sifting through the papers, you search for anything familiar. You make it a few words, but there are just a lot of those little guys on these papers, and you've got performance anxiety. Oh, right. You probably still can't read. You look up at her, startled. How can she tell? Well, I mean, you don't look much like a troll. It isn't exactly a gargantuan mental leap to assume you're not from around here. But also, I've heard about you. You straighten up. Any press is good press when it comes to friends discussing you, right? Feels talk. Oh! Unfortunately. Oh. She puts her mug down on the ground and picks up a fallen book, talking as she flips to whatever page she's looking for. That little asshole is gonna have even more unfortunate crap to say to me when he finds out I set us all back by dropping half our group project in a ditch. She paces in flustered circles until she finds a bookmark among the debris. Flicking a wet leaf off of it, she shoves it in the open spine of the book and slams it closed. Ugh, whatever. I can't think about that yet. Gotta get all this back in order first. Right, yeah. The ordering of stuff. And you keep at it, doing the best you can to keep similar looking things together. You can feel her eyes on your back, and you turn to face judgment. You've basically got it right, actually. You did say you were quick at the draw. I'm Tyzias, by the way. She doesn't so much smile at you as grimace. It looks mostly pleased, as exhausted as expressions go. That's as good friendship-building material as any other. You've certainly started with worse than being complimented. The breeze plays at the ends of her frizzy hair, ruffling a few pages while it's at it. Now that you aren't frantically trying to prove your helpfulness and have a moment to think, you don't know if the sidewalk is the best place to be starting from scratch with a whole filing system. You open your mouth to tell her as much when a huge Papa Gush follows in Breeze Jr.'s wake, blowing the neat stacks back into chaos. Mother grubbing. She sinks slowly back down in the snow globe of paper, takes a long sip from her mug sitting next to her, and then tilts her head back and unleashes a single deep gut holler. You scuttle around, catching documents out of the air until the gust is gone. It's not that Tyzias doesn't seem capable. It's just that she seems a bit burnt out. You know what it's like to feel like you're at the end of your rope. So now that you have half a swinging grab and a handle on on things here, you feel like it's your turn to do the heavy friendship lifting. You know a breaking point when you see one. You weren't expecting it so early in a friendship encounter, but still. It's clear that this troll needs some time to chill. This is a mess, yeah? She swings the pendulum over her chin, over to glare deadened eyes at your guts. Okay, yes, it's a mess. But it seems like maybe, just perhaps, it would be best to sort of put a pin in it all. To suck air in and out of our insufflation sacs or whatever and just get it together for a minute. No group projects were ever aced when that clear leader was not at her peak mental performance. She wrinkles up her nose and closes her eyes. You know what? Fine. Fuck it. Not all of it, of course, but this night specifically, and everyone and anyone I know or have thought extensively about before in my life. So that just leaves you. What do you have in mind, friend? Because I'm all out of ideas. That word still does a number on you, no matter how many times you hear it used flippantly. You have an idea already, so you hurriedly gather her shit into extremely unorganized piles, which she drops off in her hive to deal with later. You half expect her to just not come back out, but she does. She's kept only one heavily annotated tome in her mug, which she nods at when she speaks. I know, but these are for just in case. Anyway, do your worst. With a salute and a few gentle tugs at Tyzias' sleeves to keep her moving, you get going. You and your Alternian pals have taken turns leading each other to some pretty wild places in your time here. The place you take Tyzias to, though, is somewhere you haven't shared with anyone. It's where you come back on days when you can't find a friend or don't want to impose on any of the ones you've made. It's on the outskirts of town, where the buildings are spread thinner until the landscape cuts upward in a jagged cliff face. Bolted into the side of the rock is a tower, or what's left of one. It's basically a heap of scaffolding and rusted-out ladders, holding up a half-covered platform. But it's been a good place to staunch bleeding and stargaze. To give off an outdoorsy vibe to you? Does my half-untucked button-up and paltry muscle mass scream, would love to scurry up a dilapidated relic? You worry about her hating your plan, but you kind of feel like she'd complain no matter where you took her, and at this point the die is cast, so heave-ho, you say. It's stronger than it looks. You offer to hold her stuff for her during the ascent. She gives you the book, but clutches the mug against her chest. You know better than to pry, but you're dying a little wondering about why she's so weird about it. Unless she's got liquor made from viscera in there. Or maybe her Lucis gave her the mug, and so it's special. You shrug and start climbing. Like you thought she would, she follows you, and like before, she complains about it the whole time. Unlike the structure itself, you both weather it fine. At the top, she looks around. Is this your hive? It's more like a hideout. You still feel a little shy about it. It's not as fancy as your friend's hives, and you don't have any weird animal present to make you snacks or anything. There are only little keepsakes you've picked up along the way set up on the creaky old table next to some complicated old tech you couldn't get the power on. This must be an old watchtower. when that was part of her imperial vision as a preferred method of surveillance. She runs a hand over the dusty screen. Oh, Trizza, you learned about her. No. Her bigger, badder off-world counterpart, the Condes. Ah! You look at the rusted barrel of some terrifying weapon mounted in the corner, and then out over the landscape and sprawling town. In the distance, smoke rises from a freshly demolished hive. Glinting in the moonlight, drones circle it like buzzards. It's been like this here for a while then. You sit down, your legs dangling off the side of the platform. Tyzias joins you, a safe distance away from the edge. That is one hell of an understatement. But yeah, we've got a time-honored status quo in operation here. Streamlined, efficient, brutal. Tyzias looks miserable. That's not what you were going for. You summon up the old Roy G. Biv in your head for the 1000th time. She should be safe, right? Teals are middle class, and anyway, she's a lawyer. She's got the powers that be on her side. Saying so doesn't seem to cheer her up at all. I mean, you're not wrong. But being in a position to benefit from the system doesn't make the system more morally palatable. If I'm being real about it, it's more me being forced to uphold it than anything else. She nods towards the book in your hands. Oh, right. How does all this work, anyway? Can she just not be a lawyer? And aren't there good ones? Yeah, I can quit. If I want to get cold. There's always a choice. She sighs. It's not like I expect suffering to ever stop completely. It just seems like an awful lot of work to do to make sure it keeps happening. And that's the entire job of a legislacerator. Unless you're purple enough to get away with it, you're just guilty. No matter what. It's just a matter of going through all the fanfare of a trial, all for the same result. It's sick, but it's so normal by now that no one knows how to begin questioning it. She looks more exhausted now than she did during the paper explosion. Like when you've used up all your sadness and all you have is a deep, broken fatigue. This isn't exactly the rejuvenating getaway you envisioned. There's just so much injustice. You continue to try to be positive. Are there not political parties, some secret underground movements or anything? Sure, most lowbloods you've met have a healthy fatalistic nonchalance about their situations, but there's gotta be something else out there. There were a few people who tried to stir shit up back in the day. It's all kinda hushed up and hard to find any information on the history of them, though. Definitely not the kind of thing they teach you in Legislacerator training. One was a mutant blood, and the other had wings. So I guess they didn't have much of a chance anyway. You can't imagine the story having a happy ending, but you still want to know more. There's the subtlest shift in her tone of voice now that she's doing more than only complaining. It draws you in. One of them seems to have gathered enough of a following to have become a religious figure, from what little I can find about him. The other one led a military revolt. They both were killed, along with their attempts at change. I don't even know what happened to their compatriots. She stops to squint at you. I don't know how you got me talking like this, but in the fuck it spirit of the night, I'm just gonna keep going. If it wasn't clear, I'm telling you things that can get me extremely cold. So like, please be chill. You're so chill. The chillest, and also probably pretty gullible yourself. Good point. She squints at you a little longer, and then stares out into the night. Her jaw muscle clenches a few times before she speaks. I have some ideas. She's still not looking at you, but she sits up a little straighter. You feel your spine following suit, almost on its own. All of us training to be legislacerators like to practice throwing our weight around. Some of us more than others, which I guess you have first-hand experience with. But we don't have much real power yet. We will, though, if we pass our exams. Which I will. I've been staying up most days studying every documented piece of the law, and some underground stuff too when I find it. There are exploitable loopholes I don't know about. If I can establish myself as a major player, I might have a chance to change things. Some things you can only take apart from the inside out. By now, she's built up a fevered energy, even with the sluggish way she talks. When you shift in your seat, she kind of snaps out of it. Oh, sorry. Guess I got a little worked up. I don't exactly get to talk about this very often. It's kind of overwhelming to think about how fucked every little thing is all the time. But now that I see it clearly, I can't not do something. It's like Alternia is a giant fire, and I'm pissing on a tiny corner of it while the rest of everything burns up around me. Your brain is buzzing with how real all that felt. You can't really add anything to it, so you just nod. Are things less abysmal where you're from? Oh boy. In ways, yeah. At home, the accused is called the defendant, at least. As in, they get a defense. Her eyes brighten. That's exactly what I'm talking about. Does your justice system work? You exhale slowly, trying to buy yourself time to encapsulate all of your planet's various cultures, societal structures, and similarly overwhelming list of injustices in an intelligent blurb. You settle on, not always, not for everyone. Her laugh is short and hollow. So much for enlightened life forms existing somewhere in the universe. You guess until a more kind and just alien life form comes to take over, you'll just have to make do with each other. Yeah, you're not so bad. I take on an impressive regime with you anytime. She gives your arm an awkward tap with her fist, and then looks back over the edge. Anyway, I'm no religious figure or military strategist. There's gotta be someone out there who is. Gotta use what skills I have instead, I guess, until I find them. What the fuck else would I do with my time? Keep pissing on the fire is the best anybody can do, you reckon? That, and get others hydrated enough to do the same. She laughs. Keep on pissing, huh? I'll drink to that. She takes a big swig from her mug. After a beat, she silently and without looking at you extends her arm your way. You stare in the mug's depths, a little unnerved. It doesn't look like viscera, but you've been burned before. Won't kill you. You're not sure what it will do, but Tyzias is truthful, if nothing else. So, bottoms up. What the fuck? It's water. Tyzias grins and taps her temple with a claw. Gotta give the people something. Otherwise, they might think I'm the way I am on my own. Then where would I be? Then where would we be? You don't know. Letting people in can be helpful, sometimes. Shh. Shh. I'm fine. You're not convinced. Okay, I'll admit it. It's not a bad idea to relax every once in a while. Get your priorities straight. This was a decent time. You're glad she's glad, but you mostly just talk the whole time about the same stuff that she was overwhelmed by to begin with. Does that even count? You learned a lot, but she still looks pretty wiped. As soon as you think that, she yawns. She's so driven. You shiver a bit when you imagine what she could do if she took the time to rest for real. You pat the pile of blankets next to you. It's no bed, or tub of soap or slime for that matter, but it's gotten you through enough. She looks warily at it and yawns again. I guess my loose and my mate spirit just think I'm at the hive anyway. One little nap won't hurt. I'll get up early tomorrow and reorganize our stupid busy work project. She tentatively lowers herself down onto the blankets. Her eyes close for a brief second before they snap open again, glaring at you with full force. Don't doubt me, either. I've got it under control. Oh, you say you have zero doubts in her abilities, you say. She curls back up against herself, and a small rattle of contentedness shakes in her throat. Out in the distance, the blaze has dimmed to a thin plume of smoke. You hope whoever's hive it is was okay. You're not sleepy, so you'll keep rise to make sure she gets up by sunrise. You tilt your head back and look up at the unfamiliar constellations. Your head feels full. It's intense. And not exactly what you'd call happy, but you know you're feeling it with her, and that's far from nothing. Oh, precious.